Hi, everybody. This is Miss Harden. Today, what we are going to be doing, we are going to be taking our notes on adding decimals to the tenths. So I need you to write at the top of your page, adding decimals to the tenths. Okay? After you do that, I need you to write down the vocabulary. Now, if you need to pause the video, go ahead and do that. But we're going to write this section down here. Okay? So these are our vocabulary words for this section because by the end of this, you're going to be able to add decimals to the tenths place. Okay? Vocab word number 1 is the sum. What does the sum mean? That is the answer to an addition problem. Okay? Number 2, tenths. This is when you break one whole into 10 equal parts. All right? And that's normally the first place after the decimal, to the right of the decimal. Okay? Now, for the next part, I need you to when you add, these are the steps that you need to follow when you add decimals, okay? So let's say I give you this problem right here. I am going to give you this problem. 32 plus 4 2/10, okay? 32 wholes plus 4 2/10. Now, the first step, and I need you to write this down too in your notes. Line up the decimal points, okay? So one method we could use, I need to write 32, and then I have 4 2/10. Now, wait a minute. I don't see a decimal here in 32. Anytime you have a whole number, there's a decimal place right after it. Always remember that. There's a decimal place right after a whole number. Sometimes it's invisible because there's nothing after the decimal point, okay? So then I have 4 2/10. Well, it says to line up the decimal points. So I'm going to put my decimal point down here. The 4 is before it. The 2 is after it. I lined them up. There we go, okay? Number 2, it says to add zeros as placeholders when necessary. Well, I don't see anything right here. So I'm going to add a 0 as a placeholder. Now, if it's before the decimal, we don't need to worry about those, okay? So I'm not going to put anything here, but I do need to add them. Now, step 3, you add from right to left, okay? So we're going to start here. Let's start in our tenths place. 0 plus 2 is 2. Decimal, I got to bring that decimal down. 2 plus 4 is 6. 3 plus nothing is 3. So our answer to this is 36 2/10, okay? Make sure you write that example down. Make sure you have this information here, okay? All right, good. Okay, so now let's do our next example, okay? Example number 1, okay? I wrote it right here. 7 plus 2 8/10. I'm going to move this down here, okay? So now I have 7 wholes. I'm going to put a decimal point after it because I know it's a whole number. I may have to put some zeros after it. Plus 2 8/10. So here's my decimal. A 2 is before the decimal, and what's after the decimal is an 8, okay? Now, there is another way that you can make sure everything is lined up. We could put lines before the 7 and the 2 and between the decimals and then after, okay? But I'm missing something here. What can I put here? You're right, it is a 0, okay? So now we added our placeholders. That was step 2. Now let's do step 3. Add from right to left. 0 plus 8, that is 8. Decimal, we put our decimal here. 7 plus 2, that is 9. 9 8/10. Good job. Make sure that's written down, okay? All right, now example number 2. Let's look at this one extra close. John ran 5 miles last weekend and 7 8/10 miles this week. How many miles did he run in all? So, what is our Let's make sure we call it the correct thing. Key. What's our key information? Our key info. What do we know from the problem? Our key information. Well, he ran 5 miles. 5 miles. And he also ran 7 8/10 miles. 7 8/10 miles. 8/10 miles. Okay. And then it said in all. In all. Guys, what does in all mean? In all means you add. That is the sum. Okay. So I need to take 7 8/10. 8/10 plus 5 miles. Now, do I put the 5 here? No, we do not, because that is a whole number. Okay, so remember, a whole number, we pretend that there's a decimal and the whole number goes right before it. So folks, what am I missing here? I am missing a 0. To make sure that we have everything where they need to be, we can draw lines in between them. Oh, yep, everything's lined up. Everything is lined up. Now, all I have to do is add them. 8 plus 0, that is 8. Bring down my decimal. 7 plus 5, that is 12. That is correct. 12 8/10. Make sure you go ahead and write that down, please. And now you are going to do your, as we call them, next steps. These are what you're going to be doing on your own, okay? These are what you're going to be doing on your own, the problems you're going to do. The first problem, go ahead and write this in your notebook, and you are also going to be getting this in your on your Echo assignment. 23 plus 5 4/10. Number 2, 14 3/10 plus 5. Number 3, 7 2/10 plus 3 7/10. Okay, make sure you line up your decimals. Line up your decimals and solve for each of these problems. You got it, guys. Good job. We'll see you soon. Bye.